Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
So you're saying with Hilton Honors, I can use points for a free night stay anywhere?
Anywhere.
What about fancy places like the Canopy in Paris?
Yeah, Hilton Honors, baby.
Or relaxing sanctuaries like the Conrad in Tulum?
Hilton Honors, baby.
Ooh, what about the 5-star Waldorf Astoria in the Maldives?
Are you gonna do this for all 9,000 properties?
When you want points that can take you anywhere, anytime, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay. Book your spring break now.
Did you guys hear this?
Yes.
Yeah, like John Philip Sousa and marching down
Doug,
Main
maybe
Street.
you can help me with this because I think you're the only person in the world that actually uses Apple Music. This is the only thing that I have on Apple Music because I have to play it for the middle school football team when I run the scoreboard. It's the fight song for the middle school. Go Northwestern, by the way.
Go.
But when every time I turn my phone on, it has it at the bottom. And I'm a Spotify guy, and I do not want the Spotify people to think I'm cheating on them with Apple Music. So how do I make this automatic Apple Music thing that wants to play Go You Northwestern into every single time that I grab my phone?
I actually know exactly how to take care of that, but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh. Great.
I've got a similar problem.
Subscribe for more.
Like and subscribe for more. Okay.
Doug's Tech Help.
All right, then.
I've got a similar problem. I've got Apple Maps, and you know how it automatically connects you to home or wherever? I have no idea why this happens, but when I plug in my phone to my car, it automatically asks me if I want to go to Annie Ann's Pretzels near Lawson Volcano National Park.
Well, yes, I do. As a matter of fact. How did you know?
Like 1,300 miles from me. I've been to Lawson Volcano National Park one time.
How are the pretzels?
A long time ago. Why the hell does it all of a sudden decide I want to go to Annie Ann's over there? I have no idea.
Gotta love Apple.
That's awesome.
Between that and my favorite feature of you're on a phone call on your AirPods, I'm guessing you want to listen to music on your computer right now. Just where it disconnects. Let's do a podcast. What do you guys think about that?
If we must.
You know, OG, I think this was all just a warm up and a great way to say that we need to salute our troops.
Oh, yes.
So that we can deal with all these first world problems.
There's a lot of first world problems going on here, and there's a lot of other world problems going on, sadly. But thankfully, the men and women of the U.S. and other countries are keeping us safe.
They absolutely are. On behalf of Navy Federal Credit Union and the men and women making podcasts in Mom's Basement, here's to our troops. Let's go stack some Benjamins now, shall we?
Thanks, everybody.
My God, the Dukes are going to corner the entire frozen orange juice market.
Live from Joe's Mom's Basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and robots are coming for your jobs.
Woohoo.
Wait.
Oh.
Are they? God, I hope so. Imagine just pressing a button to start this intro. We're going to talk robots, automation, inflation, pump and dump trading schemes, and more with the man you hear on CNBC's halftime report, Downtown Josh Brown. In our headlines, you've seen the destruction from Helene, and maybe you or your neighbors felt it. What money lessons can we apply? We'll share. Plus, I'm brewing up an absolute gem of a trivia question.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, it's happening. And now, two guys who are like a hurricane in this basement. It's Joe and G. Told you I was brewing something.
Sounds like Doug's going to be a hurricane somewhere else. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Steak Regular Podcast. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy. It is Monday, We've got, and I know he's listening to this, Josh Brown is like, I'm going on what? I'm going on what podcast today? And now we're starting
Immediately calls agent.
Horrible career mistake. Horrible. From CNBC to what? Mom's basement. Yeah, across the card table from me, though, today, like every Monday in the basement, Mr. OG's here. How are you, man?
I'm just living the dream, man. One day at a time.
With Josh Brown here. How about that?
I mean, he's got a great first name.
He does. And he might have a take or two as well. Josh Brown, who
cool dude,
generally has something to say.
He has some opinions.
He's coming down to the basement. He's today's mentor. If you don't know Josh Brown, he's a guy who has had the Reformed Broker blog for a number of years. I think the Reformed Broker blog probably older than this podcast, I would imagine. Yeah. Josh also is one of the principals at Ritholtz Wealth Management, one of the premier money management financial firms in the nation. Also the creator of the Future Proof Advisory Conference that happens every year. Guy might have one or two things going on, OG.
He is mucho importante.
He is. And you know what? To his big, shining, defining moment, going to be coming down to the basement.
Obviously. Pinnacle of his career.
To share his knowledge with you. We're also going to do a headline about the Southeast, OG. Things bad a couple weeks ago with Hurricane Helene and still not cleaned up.
Imagine going on vacation in the mountains of North Carolina. You're at an Airbnb and somebody says, hey, there's a hurricane coming. You're like, the Gulf of Mexico or something. What's that? I'm on the top of a mountain. What does that got to do with me?
Right.
Oh, man.
And I just read that the low estimate, a conservative estimate of how much water fell was the equivalent of the flow over Niagara Falls for 619 days straight.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's a low
estimate. Think about when it rains an inch in your house or in your town. Mm-hmm. Think about like how many square miles that is, an inch of water over that much, and now make that a foot and a half of water over, a half a state. I mean, good night.
Tragic.
So
Cheryl and I are fans of Lake Lure, which is about an hour from Asheville. It's the place where they filmed a lot of Dirty Dancing, pretended it was the Adirondacks. Is that how you pronounce that? Adirondacks?
Well, you might have missed a D in there.
Close enough.
Adirondacks.
Added an extra.
Adirondacks.
Enough. We know what you're talking about.
There we go. Yeah, those one things.
The Ariana Grande.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. Talk about Dirty Dancing.
And Chimney Rock is there. And it's just this beautiful, beautiful vacation area. And man, the before and after of this vacation area, I mean, it is horrible. So if you're affected by that, we're going to talk about ways that you can help. And we're also going to talk about if you were lucky enough, knock on wood, simulated wood here on the card table, to not be affected by it. What are some of the checkpoints that we can learn? We're going to cover all that today too. But first, we've got a couple of sponsors that make this show go so that it's free for you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Let's hear from a couple of these sponsors, and then we're going to get moving with Downtown Josh Brown from CNBC's Halftime Report. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. Dell PCs with Intel Insider, built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. There for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you.
So proud of you, Joe. You remembered. You
I
remembered to
remembered
do our sponsor call out.
I did. What?
It's so rare when it just comes, it just flows. Usually it's like, oh, we got to go back and do that.
We got to redo that again. Yeah. No, it's weird how once every 7 tries, I will figure that out. Downtown Josh Brown's here. Let's say hello to the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Brown. Well, I'm super happy he's here at Mom's card table. Downtown Josh Brown is here. How are you, man?
Great to see you, Joe. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm super happy that you're here with us. I've wanted to talk to you. Of course, we've talked to our mutual friend, Nick Majuli, several times. We talked to, I feel like I've been talking all the way around Josh Brown, and we finally got him. But I want to ask you this, because I had to laugh out loud when I started this project, and I read in the open, and let me make sure I get this right. You write that maybe the amount you talk is working against your self-interest.
It might, at this point, it might be too much.
Are you trying to be like the guy? Remember that old guy on Fox that wore the mask and showed all the magic tricks that the magicians don't want him to sell? Is Josh Brown trying to be that guy?
Oh, what was his name? The something magician.
Yeah, I don't
something.
Yeah. No idea.
No. I think the reality is the more success that you have in this or any business, the more you have to lose by continuing to be a firebrand and continuing to throw bombs. And like at a certain point, it's more harm than good. And maybe it's time to shut up and just enjoy what you've built. The problem is I don't know how to shut up. And I mean, I'm a blogger and a podcaster. Is there a worse combination? So I was sort of joking around, but like this, there's always a kernel of truth, even when people are joking. But in the end, what I've been able to do is not alienate everyone working in the industry, but also say things that were biting satire of, myself and everyone else's role in this game. I think the audience gets it. I think my fellow professionals, they understand there's a tongue-in-cheek kind of way about what I'm writing, and we all live on. In the end, none of it matters.
But you see this, Josh, in careers all the time, right? People get where they're going doing what you've done, about talking, about being out there, about being open, about telling the blunt truth, no matter who cares. And then you see them get to a certain point. I don't know if it's money or fame or what it is, and they flip and they become really, really conservative. I feel like you got to fight that all the time.
So I don't know that it's just money or fame. There's another angle to it, which is responsibility. So you get to a point, so I have 63 employees. So if I start running around screaming at the SEC and the Federal Reserve and picking fights with the Palestinian people, like if that's the route that I take this, maybe it makes me feel better on Twitter for 5 minutes. But what I'm really doing is jeopardizing the livelihoods and the careers of the people who rely on me. And it's not just people working in my firm. I'm involved in like 10 different businesses to some extent, as an investor, as an advisor, as a joint venture partner. So that's a really real thing. I remember listening to John Bon Jovi talk about why they're touring every year. And the person's like, surely you don't need the money. He's like, you don't understand. When we don't tour, it's like 500 families that don't eat. Like we have a whole road crew, and we have drivers and guitar techs and security people and publicists, and like we're an enterprise. So if I decide to take 3 years off, what do I tell these people? There's this idea that the more successful you get, the less risk you have to say what's on your mind. It isn't that way. I have found that it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Yeah. I want to talk about this. Obviously, you just got done with Future Proof, a lot of financial planners there, certainly in financial media. I feel like we've been talking about retirement planning forever. I got in the financial planning game in 1993, but you write in chapter 1, retirement planning, Josh, really ain't that old. Like this is really a new construction, and we're kind of finding our way in the dark. Talk to me about retirement planning and kind of the short life of this whole thing that we do.
Well, the 401k is like 50 years old. It was a relatively obscure accounting loophole that gained some popularity, and now it's obviously the preferred method of saving for retirement all over the country. But that phenomenon is maybe 25 years old. Most people didn't work at companies until 10 years ago where that was even on the menu of options. So we kind of had like IRAs. The average person on the street doesn't know the rules, how they work, what are the limits, what are the contingencies, what type of IRA, no idea. Nobody teaches them that. So it's not as though Americans have been investing for retirement since 1776. It just can sometimes feel that way for somebody that like is first encountering it now. The reality is retirement planning for much of human history was you die. You're probably a farmer or a soldier and you drop dead. And that was your retirement. Congratulations. And then like in the 1800s, there were some schemes in Britain and elsewhere in Europe, where Scotland notably, where they try to do this kind of like pooled situation where whoever lives the longest is reaping the biggest benefit from the pool. Like it's literally a dead pool. That's where the word comes from. And then you had some like annuities sort of things and insurance. In the United States in the Old West, like the first version of retirement was like a sheriff who had one of his arms shot off. Well, he can't be the sheriff anymore. So the town would collect some money together and say, here, now you can feed your family for the rest of your life. You know who did the collecting? The sheriff.
I was so surprised by this when you said the sheriff actually had to go around kind of with his hand out.
This is true.
And collect.
The gunfighter would go knocking door to door and say, obviously, as you can see, I have one arm now. I'm not able to defend the settlement or the town, but like, hey, I kind of gave up an arm. What do you guys want to do for me? I can't be a farmer. I can't break horses in a pen. I can't do anything. This is not that long ago. It's like 6 generations ago that I'm talking about. So for the first half of the 1900s, like most people worked in agriculture. They worked on a farm. You farmed until you died. So it's not really until the last 50 years that there's any sort of, of course, like the New Deal. Okay, we're going to take care of the widows and orphans. We're going to take care of people who live to the abnormally old age of 60, which almost no one did. Then we have like this concept of corporate retirement, which is you get a gold watch and then you drop dead 5 years later, right? Like you retire at 65 and you're dead by 70. Now, I mean, if you look at the actuarial tables, if you make it to 70, you have like a 25% chance of making it to 90. And that number is rising. And amongst affluent people, life expectancy is much higher because they take better care of themselves and they have better doctors and better health care. So retirement is like half of people's lives almost at this point amongst affluent and wealthy people. It could be like half your life. And so it's a huge, huge industry, getting larger, gaining in success. And there's not a lot of history. There's not a lot of sociology around the history of retirement because there's not a lot of history. So there's a lot that we still don't know. I think that's what makes it fascinating.
It's been interesting watching just the CFP start off really, the 6 areas of financial planning and being very technical. And now I feel like every year it's becoming more behavioral. Behavior becomes part of the game. And speaking of that, you go on to write early on that a lot of us have learned not to sell, to hold our money. You write, though, that we invest in fear and we're not afraid of political outburst on Twitter from, the politicians that we see all the time or from the owner of X or Twitter himself upsetting the stock market. You say that we're worried about something much, much deeper. What is it that the average investor really is worried about when it comes to their money?
I think the working investor, regardless of what profession they're in, has this deep-seated fear that they are going to become obsolete. It may not be the foremost fear in people's minds, but I think it's always there. It's natural. It should be. But I think that fear has become amplified in the last 20 years and maybe really amplified in the last 2 years because of how quickly technology is changing the very nature of who's worth what and who does what in society and where are the profits and who gets them. And does the practitioner of a service maintain most of their money, or is there a large and growing portion that has to be handed over to Apple and Meta and Alphabet? This is like, shouldn't come as a shock. This is throughout history. Humans have been afraid of technological development and industrialization. And this is like an ancient paranoia. The story of John Henry takes place in the 1800s. And so it's not a new idea, but I think from a stock market investing prism, I think you can see the fervor with which people are investing in technology companies. You can see a little bit of paranoia in there. And I wrote a chapter called Just Own the Damn Robots. And it's a classic, if you can't beat them, join them kind of idea. It's like, look, you got 5 companies, each worth $1 trillion or more. And every day the people who work there wake up, go to work, and try to figure out a way to make you cost companies less or make you completely obsolete. And that's just the reality in which that we live. And I think we invest to some extent with that in the back of our minds.
I look at my life, even just operating this podcast. Well, hell, Josh, I'm sure you see the same thing. In the last year, I've gone from, coming up with titles to now having AI give me suggestions for titles, show notes, having AI do a rough draft of a lot of our show notes just for this show. I've seen in the past 9 months, it's changed night and day. What blew me away when I started reading your words was that I didn't realize that you originally wrote this in 2017, right? Like this is 2017 and you're like, own the robots. And I'm looking at just the last 9 months and hell.
Yeah, it was pretty prescient. I wrote the original Just Own the Damn Robots in 17 at the dawn of the FANG stock era. We weren't using that term yet, but it was clear that there were a couple of gigantic NASDAQ companies that had basically tied a bow around like the entire economy, and they owned it. And every ounce of commerce that was going to take place going forward would run through one or all of their systems. And so there was this moment, I think it was in 2016, I'll never forget it. I just don't remember the exact time. I was sitting on the desk for the 5 o'clock Fast Money taping, and Amazon came out with an earnings report where the stock shot up like 15% overnight. We had to like explain to the viewer what had just happened. And what had just happened, Joe, was that Amazon reported a surprise profit. Nobody was expecting them to earn any money. And it was like a thunderbolt from Zeus. It was the starting gun. And then from that moment on, anything involved with cloud, which is, of course, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, goodbye. And at the same time, on a parallel track, you've got Apple becoming the largest company in the world, Microsoft becoming number 2, or vice versa. I forget who got there first. It just felt very zeitgeisty to try to explain, like, what is this moment about? And it was really, in 2017, it was really about, like, oh my God, you don't know where this is going, but you better have some money invested because these companies are on the verge of world domination. And of course, that's exactly how it played out. Of course, NVIDIA wasn't part of the conversation then, OpenAI, none of these things, that didn't exist. But the general idea that I wrote about now 7 years ago is even more true today.
It is amazing just realizing 2017 you're writing this stuff because it felt like you wrote it 20 minutes ago, right?
It was crazy revisiting it. Yeah. Yeah.
It totally must have been. I also wonder, as a guy that wrote a book myself a couple of years ago, why did you start here? Why do you start with the fear of robots and own the robots? Why did you decide that's going to be chapter 1?
I wanted to do something that at first was very current. And so my revisiting of that, I got to tell the story of NVIDIA because we weren't talking about NVIDIA in 2017. I was a shareholder in it, but I didn't think it would be as big of a deal as it turned out to be. So I wanted to do something that was like very now. And what's very now is NVIDIA becoming the dominant growth stock of the era, one of the largest companies in the world. And most people don't even realize this. It's up another 150% year to date.
Crazy.
Forget about the fact that it's up 10,000% in the last 10 years. It's up another 150% this year. It's like almost triple this year. So I wanted to start the book with like a punch in the face. Like, do you even understand the extent to which this technology takeover is happening? I didn't want to do a linear thing like, here's a history of the markets over the last 15 years. I wanted to take all of these episodes and the lessons I took from them and some of the secrets that I learned along the way, some of the backstage stuff that I had witnessed, and I wanted to fill a book with it, but I didn't want to do it like, and then it was April and blah, blah. I wanted it to be punchy and jump around and keep you guessing about what was coming next.
I like the changes. I like the different themes that you talk about. scarcity and abundance, you know, and how those are bookends. I like that. We're going to talk about Wolf of Wall Street here in just a second, because I thought that was pretty damn funny. But let's pause for a second, Josh, on NVIDIA, because I was at this dinner party about 6 weeks ago. I'm sitting next to a guy who spent a lot of his career before he got into managing a big health conglomerate. He had been a stockbroker way back when with Dean Witter. And so he knows a lot about stocks. He follows the markets. And he said, Joe, what do you think about NVIDIA? I'm like, I don't know what I think. What do you think? And Tom is his name. Tom said, you know, I think NVIDIA may have run its course because people that know nothing about nothing are asking me on a daily basis, should I buy NVIDIA stock? And historically, Josh, during my career, when, you know, people say, hey, should I be investing in gold right now? Should I be investing in real estate? Right? 2007, everybody's like, hey, should I be investing in real estate? And at that time, the real estate market collapsed. What do you think about NVIDIA with these valuations right now?
Well, so here's the problem. NVIDIA has gotten cheaper, not more expensive. That's number one. If they're going to earn $5 a share by the end of 2025, if they're going to be on that run rate and the stock's $120, is that an expensive stock? Not really. If they're going to do $250 billion in sales, does that not justify the market cap where it is? For me, it's more like expectations. Do you really think there's not going to be a hiccup in this AI story? Like, do you really think every quarter from now on they're going to grow 50, 60, 80, 100% year over year? Of course that's not going to happen. So I think there will be disappointments along the way, and there'll be opportunities to buy the stock. Just for the sake of the listener that's not paying as close attention as you and I are,
yeah,
NVIDIA was in a 30% drawdown this year from its all-time high. It's in a 30% drawdown.
It's a big fat number.
In May. It's not like it's been easy. And I've been in the stock since 2015. I've gotten cut in half multiple times. I've been down 30% multiple times. So it's not that it's so simple like, oh, everyone's talking about NVIDIA, therefore it's over. Everyone was talking about Apple in 2013. Was that the end? Right? Like everyone was talking about Apple, and then Steve Jobs died in 2011. Was that the end? Or did Tim Cook add $2.5 trillion in market cap post the death of Steve Jobs? So these things aren't so simple. Everyone was talking about Bitcoin in 2017. It topped at 17,000. Was that the end? Temporarily. It's at 65,000 now. So I try not to make investment judgments based on like, oh, you should have heard what this cab driver said to me. I mean, it's fun, and maybe it's anecdotally, it's like a signpost along the way. But like there are people in real life going on Twitter and talking about hemline indicators and magazine cover indicators. What are you, an idiot? Like, are you a complete moron? That like let me get this straight. You call yourself a professional and you're mocking the cover of Barron's because there's a bull on it?
Are you trying to say that's not part of your analysis?
No.
Are you trying to say that's not your filter system?
Let me tell you a fun story. I did a TV segment for CNBC in 2013. We were in hysterics over the cover of Fortune magazine, if anybody knows what that is anymore. Fortune magazine did the first unicorn cover. They did a story, and the story was like, can you believe it? There are 30 venture-backed, privately held companies that haven't even gone public yet that are valued at $1 billion or more. And everybody was like, oh, it's the dot-com bubble. Like, because that's how facile everyone is. It's like, this looks like that. Oh, you learned that from Sesame Street? Like, if that was your sell signal in 2013, think of what you missed. And by the way, I think there are 200 unicorns right now.
Right.
So if you thought that was the end of something because it was on the cover of a magazine, you maybe should hire a professional to manage your money and never speak again. And a lot of people, serious people, were like waving that around. This is why I'm bearish. Literally, 2013 was the first all-time high for the stock market since 2007. So the stock market had a U-curve from 07, the crash, and then it took all that time to get back to that level. And then you had people who wanted to call the next .com crash or whatever because of a magazine cover. Right. You're not a professional. You're a content creator. Stay on Twitter. Leave the money alone. Leave that to somebody else.
Talk about surprising. You go from buying the robots to the pandemic. What did we learn about inflation from the pandemic?
So we never had inflation in my lifetime. up into like serious inflation. There was this one moment in 2008 where crude oil prices went to 200 and iron ore prices were going nuts. But that was almost an echo of the international building boom that had already collapsed. And it didn't last very long. But what you learn from history about inflation is how destabilizing it is, not just for the stock market, which of course it's very, but for an economy, for a political system. It's like the most destructive force. When people can't rely on the continuity of what it costs to live, everything comes grinding to a halt. It's much worse than disinflation, which is what we had been suffering from the GFC until the pandemic. So the chapter that I wrote was called "You Weren't Supposed to See That." And we basically, unwittingly, all became the subject in a once-in-a-lifetime, I hope, experiment where the question is, what happens if we voluntarily shut down the entire economy except for essential services? We force everyone to live and work from home. We make it so nobody misses a payment on a bill. We fill everyone's bank account with cash. And we give people so much free time that they're able to do literally whatever they want. That's the experiment.
I was also surprised during that experiment, Josh, how many people, according to all the statistics that I read, you might have seen different things, did really responsible things with that money. They actually, like, you know, I can be kind of cynical about this and go, oh, look at how we're blowing this. Our credit card debt's higher than ever. Everybody paying off their debt, getting their crap in order. The house was getting cleaned up. But anyway, I'm sorry.
But so here's the problem. We're going to make it so every single household is just good. Like, they're good. Like, they're not worried about their bills. They have more money they've ever had before, liquid cash, no strings attached, not a loan. We just gave it out. Even the loans, we said, it's not really a loan. Don't worry about it. I think 11 million PPP loans went to businesses and 10.5 million were not paid back. All the programs for restaurants, for hospitals, for municipalities, for state government, local government, schools, it was just endless. In addition to the Fed taking rates to zero and allowing anyone with debt to refinance. It was just this incredible once-in-a-lifetime moment. And for the first time, all at once, everybody had the freedom to change careers, to pay off all their bills, to do nice things for their kids, to buy whatever high-priced ticket item they've ever wanted, whether it's an RV or a boat. Just everybody all at once was just maximum freedom and financial freedom and physical freedom. And it broke the economy in half. We literally couldn't survive it. It destroyed everything. And we end up with 9% inflation just a year or two later. We end up with frozen supply chains. We end up with hotels that can't clean the rooms anymore because they don't have any maids. We end up with fast food franchisors so desperate to find employees, they end up flipping the burgers themselves. Life as we know it completely breaks down. And the thing that you weren't supposed to see is this is why the American dream doesn't work if we all attain it simultaneously. The only way it works is if not everybody is good. We need a portion of the society at all times to still be striving to get to financial independence. We can't all have it at once. We need people that are willing to work, people that are willing to be employees and not entrepreneurs. This is necessary for this thing that we have to function. And we never would have found out that that's the truth about the American dream. This idea like, everybody can have, nope. A lot of people can have it. And some people have to wait their turn or unfortunately never get it. And that's what that's the real takeaway from the pandemic. So now, fast forward to now the office buildings in Manhattan are filled up again because Google and JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, they're saying, get back here from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. No offense, we do own you. We own you. If you don't like it, you can quit and somebody else will take that job. So you're seeing like reality gradually dawn on the economy. And that's why inflation is 2.5% and not 9%, because we brought gravity back to the system and we're back in the normal world where, hey, not everybody is good right now. Some people really need the money.
It is in some ways, such a sad story though, right? Like we all want the utopia. We want this dream. And it
doesn't work.
Yeah, we saw where
you need workers. You need people that are willing to do things for money that they wouldn't otherwise do if they had enough money. And it's universal. It applies to every industry, every business, every region of the country. And we found that out the hard way.
This dream that we all work from home too was something that even a year ago, we had a big fight on Stacking Benjamins, even between our hosts, about what this was. And I came down on the side that this isn't going to last. There's no way this is going to last. Certainly the workplace culture has probably changed forever, but certainly not the way we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be more flexibility and employers being more comfortable with having employees who are not reporting to a physical location, but it is not going to be the free-for-all where people are earning $500,000 working for a law firm and they're on the golf course all day. Right. Like that was wild. I can remind you of things that were so insane. We used to go out to dinner in 2021 in New York. They had this rule where you had to walk in with a mask, but then when you sat at your table, you could take the mask off. Right. So you had a dining room full of people with no masks, but the key thing was you had to walk in wearing one. I'm not sure medically what that meant. And then the waiter would come over. The waiters and waitresses had to be masked, which felt really weird, like a weird dystopian society where the diners get to be free and the people working the restaurant are trapped behind a mask. But then the guy would be like, "Can I read your specials?" Yes. What would he do? You pull the mask down.
He'd pull it down immediately.
Lean into the table and read you the special. It was insane what we put ourselves through.
Well, I was going to say, when you were talking about people on the golf course all day, I just remember that math and think that math ain't mathin', right? And to your point there, that science ain't science, and it's not working.
How about the traffic on the roads? Or like go to a shopping mall on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. and it's like completely packed. Where do these people work? Who are these people? And you know what they're doing? They're walking around the mall with AirPods in, taking customer service calls. Right.
It's just insanity. But hey, I'll get to keep doing that forever.
Yeah.
That's right. The way it works. I got you just for a couple more minutes. I want to ask you a couple things because I want to ask you some questions about media because of your role doing so much media stuff, and because I want to end with talking about Wolf of Wall Street, which I thought was just a great chapter of your book. But media in general, how much of the stuff that you guys talk about on television do our stackers truly need to know on a daily basis? If somebody isn't really plugged in, they just want to make sure their money goes in the right way, what percentage of what you guys discuss is important?
I think the audience at this point in 2024 is smart enough to know when something applies to them and when it doesn't. A lot of what is happening on financial TV is very immediate. It's very news driven. This just happened. Therefore, this price of whatever, oil, gold, stock market is up or down and why. And I think the audience, people that have been around for a long time, they understand that their job as investors is not to switch their opinions every day based on the news. But I still think they want to know.
Yeah.
So just because somebody has an opinion, it doesn't mean that you have to react to it. And the reason I think that people are smart enough is because I see the data, Vanguard 401k data is one example. I can give you a lot of examples. You know what they did to their asset allocation in 2020? Nothing. Literally, almost nobody did anything. No one changed anything about how they were investing. They probably were watching the news every single day. They were probably watching CNBC when Bill Ackman came on and said, hell is coming. They were probably watching every day people talk about like how horrible everything is, but they still didn't do anything. So I think the investing public has become smarter about knowing what is something they need to react to versus like what's just good background information to have. Most of the people who appear on TV are not pointing at the screen and saying, you get off the couch and buy Microsoft. Like that's not right. That's not what they're receiving from, financial television in this day and age. So I think there are people that are into it. And then there are people that would rather watch ESPN or politics. It's, the tribe that's really into the markets. That's who I talk to. And that's my tribe.
No, well, I'm in that tribe. To your point, I think it's fun and I don't change my asset allocation based on 99% of what I hear, but I also like seeing it coming. I want to ask you also about the FIRE community, being the financial independence retire early people. they're obsessed, Josh, as you know, with cutting fees, firing advisors. So, quote, you can retire earlier, right? I'm going to retire earlier by firing the people around me. What do you say when you read stuff like that?
And then what do? Oh, you retire early. Now what? Seriously, I have not been in a position where I've been in a job that I really hated. And I think if I were stuck in a career or a job that I couldn't wait for 5 o'clock every day, I would probably be able to better relate to that community and why they want to be done so quickly. I count myself fortunate that that's not where I am. So it's hard for me to identify with that mentality, to like deprive myself for 15 years so I don't have to work for the next 20. I'd rather work the whole time and work doing things that I'm interested in doing. So that's just my mentality. It doesn't mean they're wrong. Again, I'm not in their shoes, so I can't speak to what that must be like to be standing behind a cash register all day and watching the clock. If you're in that position, I could see why you would be prioritizing frugality now to get out as soon as you can. But it's not my way of life, so I can't speak to it.
Let's talk a little bit finally about Leonardo DiCaprio. When did you finally see Wolf of Wall Street? How long did it take you to finally get to the theater or see it at home?
Like a week or two.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I had to go.
Yeah.
Well, I knew a lot of the people involved, and I knew people that knew people, and I'm from Long Island, and it's the story of Long Island, basically. The young man on Long Island's mentality. Like, it's the only place where that story could have happened. And I drive by all the locations. It hit very close to home.
But some of the obnoxious scenes, right? Just bathing in drugs, the big pump and dump stuff going on. How much of that is Hollywood? How much of that was real?
No, I think it's like 90% real from what I've heard.
90% real.
I know the people that were there, and they say like, no, within reason. I don't think all the stuff with the prostitutes and tossing the little people, like that might have been like adding an extra 10% on for cinematic reasons. But I don't think it's that far away.
Why'd you include Wolf of Wall Street in this project?
I thought that Wolf of Wall Street culture was really emblematic of 2021 and the mentality of the next generation of traders. That's the movie that was their formative experience. When they were teenagers, they saw The Wolf of Wall Street, or subsequent, like they saw it on Netflix or whatever. That's their first impression of what it means to be in the markets. They didn't grow up with these great 80s movies about investing and trading that you and I did. Like, we grew up with Wall Street and trading places and other people's money. And, there's this whole litany of like great movies that were about this was that for them, Wolf of Wall Street. So there was like this kind of like Jordan Belfort worship and like, I'm the wolf. And you could see it in how, look, the memes alone from that movie overshadow the memes of any other movie. In 2021, it was Belfort fever. And even Jordan was back in the mix. He was giving trading classes for Bitcoin. I mean, it was all a circus. If that would have gone on longer, he would have had a SPAC. He still owes restitution to investors. The trick is he does all his public speaking for money in Australia. So he like keeps the money in the bank there, so he doesn't have to pay U.S. investors restitution. But like, if that would have gone on another year, they might have made him the chairman of the SEC. Like, I don't even know how to describe the degree to which life is a parody, basically. Do you know the number one podcaster in America this week is the Huck Tua girl?
Yes.
So it's all a joke.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to get like hung up on it and get angry about it. You just got to accept everything at this point is a parody of real life. Nothing is real anymore. But like the Belfort worship and having this army of millions of day traders involved in GameStop and doing all this dumb shit. And they all were inspired by the ethos from The Wolf of Wall Street. And, it sort of ran its course. But like, I thought it was an important touch point in the recent history of the markets.
The new book out is called You Weren't Supposed to See That. As you could tell, if you've never heard Josh Brown, he might have an opinion or two, might have a point of view. that sticks. And man, you can read it in his writing. You can read it here or on the Reform Broker. Just super great to have you. Thanks so much for helping our stackers, Josh. I really appreciate you.
Oh, shout out to the stackers. Thank you guys so much for listening. Appreciate it.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and I love how Josh Brown talks. No, it's not the Northeastern accent, although, I mean, right? It's more that he says things in this really straightforward way without all the jargon. I mean, who talks in basis points or capsize? And I mean, we're not even talking about a ship sinking. Let's keep this ship afloat with today's trivia question. You tell me who I'm talking about right here. Ready? This type of advisor is someone who has formally shown expertise in the areas of financial planning, taxes, insurance, estate planning, and retirement savings. What is the designation that I'm talking about? I'll be right back with the answer right after I find out what designations there are for the best podcast announcers in the field.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Dist Announcer Guy and man who deserves a reward just because I have to deal with these two boxes of rocks, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Finance really isn't hard, but it feels difficult because we use so many obscure terms. I mean, seriously, who came up with the term 401k anyways? Sounds like a race that's way longer than a 5K, doesn't it? It's a retirement plan. Wait, did I just say don't it? I think I just said don't it.
Be it. Live it.
Wow. Anyways, it's a retirement plan. I say we retire half of this jargon. So today, let's share a definition and you tell me what type of advisor I'm talking about. Ready? This designation shows that a planner has been formally recognized. I did it again. Formerly? Used to be recognized. Wow.
I remember my first day of announcing.
You do deserve an award.
This is why I didn't get the award for the most... Here we go again. This designation shows that a planner has been formally recognized.
There you go.
There it is, as showing expertise in the areas of financial planning, taxes, insurance, estate planning, and retirement savings. Got it? Of course you do, because it's the biggest designation in financial planning, Certified Financial Planner, aka the CFP. And now, here to share today's headline, it's our very own CFP, OG, and that other guy, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You might have heard of him.
Let's get into today's headline.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Hurricane Helene that we talked about in the open, not a small thing, OG, and affected tons of people. In fact, just in our Stacking Benjamin's family, our amazing writer of the 201, Kevin Bailey, luckily, he and his family are safe. But Kevin, we didn't hear from for 2 days, and we were pretty worried about him. We finally found out that he was just without first world stuff, without power, without internet, but he was safe. He was fine. That was great. Also, Hannah Cole, who was a guest of ours over the summer. She is an artist and also owns an artistry studio. And she also runs Sunlight Tax. She helps creative and artistic people deal with their tax burden. Oh, gee, her studio is completely gone. It is gone. And all of her art, all of her work, just absolutely gone. I want to start before we talk about the money here. A great piece from Cincinnati's WCPO, how to donate to Hurricane Helene victims and one donation scam to avoid. John Matarese wrote this piece. John has a bunch of links, and we'll link to this. You can visit the American Red Cross website and donate by entering a credit card number. You can also simply text the word Helene to 90999 or text Red Cross to 90999. You'll automatically donate $10 with a donation showing up on your next month's cell phone bill. Other groups, North Carolina Relief Fund, United Way, Salvation Army, Catholic Charities. But they say, OG, and this is really our job here at Stacking Benjamins, shine a light on this, beware fake appeals for money. It's just horrible that there's people out there taking advantage of this stuff. In the aftermath of other recent storms, they write, the FBI has seen a surge in phishing scams that appear to come from organizations like the Red Cross. Many of these requests use a misspelled Red Cross email address, such as Red Cross with one S, and will send you a private PayPal, Zelle, or Venmo request. Finally, GoFundMe's already lighting up with crowdsourcing requests for individual victims, but make sure it's a verified GoFundMe request. GoFundMe verifies them. Make sure it's that before you give to those. Even then, be careful if you don't know who's asking for a donation. It's always OG. They come out of the woodwork when things like this happen.
Yeah. And I think from a donation standpoint, I've been paying attention to this a little bit because there's a lot of air relief stuff going on. In some of the areas, they're only accessible by small airstrips or helicopter or whatever, over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, they're working to fix that. But people who are affected there, they don't want $10 and they don't need $10. They need tissue paper or baby wipes or cases of water or batteries. If you want to have an impact, and it's an impact right now, having the ability to provide a good, for example, there's a group in Texas affiliated with a church, but they are kind of nationally known for packing up trailers full of stuff, and they'll just trailer over to wherever the thing is and go, hey, we've got, a whole trailer full of toilet paper, a whole trailer full of cases of water, a whole you know what I mean? And they set up in a community and hand those things out. If you want to make an impact right now, I think aligning with an organization that's doing that sort of stuff right now is, especially in the immediate aftermath of any sort of emergency, is going to have a bigger impact to the end user than $10 to United Way. Not saying that that's not going to impact it, but if you're going to give money in the future, or if you're going to give money to a big organization, you can hold off a little bit to make sure that it's legitimate and make sure that the money's going to the places you want it to. You don't have to do that right this minute, although there's some downside to waiting, which is you forget about it and you're like, I'm sure they're fine. But if you're thinking, hey, I need to make an impact right now, I bet that there's an organization in your community or an adjacent community to where the emergency is happening that is like, we are getting generators. We are, we are bringing batteries. We are bringing water, and that has a much bigger impact to the affected folks than $20 to United Way, which is also good, by the way. But I'm saying, like, if you're thinking about like, how do I do something right now? That's probably a bigger way to affect it, I think.
Well, one thing I've learned from charitable giving experts on the show in the past, OG, is also that if you do have any direct connections and you have some expertise, donating that expertise is often exponentially better than donating money because, to your point, $100 could help. But if you are great at XYZ thing that can help a family and you know all the shortcuts there, I mean, people...
I was going to say, somewhat related, this flying group that I belong to, or this discussion board, there's a couple of people in there who organize like air relief efforts into communities and areas that need, they're like, we don't need you to do anything except land your plane here, fill it with our stuff and drop it off there and come back and get more. Like that, to your point, that's an expertise that you can provide that doesn't, I mean, obviously it costs money to put gas in your plane, but you know what I mean? It's like, that has a direct impact immediately to a community.
And only a small number of people in the United States are qualified, have the licenses and the training to fly a plane.
I'm not saying flying. I'm saying like, how about being a truck driver and your church has a big caravan of stuff and you're like, I know Johnny over there has never driven a fifth wheel before, so probably a bad idea to have him drive it across country. I can take time off of work and I can do it because I have a big motorhome, so I have the expertise to be able to haul this thing over mountains and whatnot. Or if you have the ability to help, that's not necessarily $100. That's going to have a bigger impact immediately.
So let's talk about this for a second, or I have a question, one of the two, however you want to take this. A lot of folks listening are probably thinking, man, my financial plan is so tight right now. I don't know if I can afford to donate. Like, how do we fit that into our budget, the donation aspect? When these things crop up, we can't predict when they're coming. How do we figure out how to even have the funds to do it?
I think there's two things here, Doug. I mean, the first one is, and this is something I've learned over the course of all the different mentors we've had, like Josh Brown on the show, just the more I give, the more I get. And every time I give help, I give relief to somebody else, I get it back. And especially when I think that I can't, right? If I think that I can't afford to, and I do it anyway, I find that I get it back. I have no idea how that works. I mean, that is just some mystical stuff, but it does work. And then the second piece is, I think what we were talking about earlier, which is if you don't think you can donate money, time, expertise, some skill that you have, or even goods, to OG's point earlier, if there's goods that you have in your house that you're not using right now that can be loaded up on a truck to go somewhere. So I think we have to widen our definition of what giving really means.
That's actually really good to know. I didn't realize. So if I give to this, I might just have a truck pull into my driveway one day with baby wipes and toilet paper. You just say it just comes back to you. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. How many baby wipes? This. See, if I give you baby wipes and you give somebody else baby wipes, then 10 days from now, a truck of baby wipes comes and shows up in like those old chain mail.
I hope there's some porterhouse steaks on that truck.
Chain mail things we had. Probably doesn't work that way. Hey, let's pivot though to the other half of this, which is learning from this situation. There's obviously, whenever this happens, OG, there are people that get caught with the wrong insurances, or, they're going to risk it and not have any insurances. And I know that there's never a good time to look at your risk management plan, but I think this is just another reminder that we need to be vigilant on this all the time. When it comes to your homeowner's insurance, when it comes to your renter's insurance, what are some of those things we should be looking for to make sure we have a good policy and not just what most people do, which is we're looking low cost provider, right?
Yeah.
What's the cheapest thing I can get? And sadly, some people are going to find out that cheapest does not equal what you hope is going to happen when disaster strikes.
The biggest thing that we see around property coverage or home coverage is the fact that the insurance amount is for whatever you might owe on the house, or it's for whatever the number was when you bought the house 15 years ago. And I'm talking about, the value, what you're insuring it for. Maybe it doesn't have replacement cost, it's residual cost. So you say, well, I had a TV in my house, and I go, yeah, it was 10 years old, so it's worth like $8. That doesn't put a new TV in your house. That doesn't put new clothes in your house. If they're like, well, you had, 10 pairs of sweatpants, but they were all 10 years old. So, here's $1.50 type thing. Some big differences there. And I think the biggest one out of all of that, and it was really kind of eye-opening for me because we went through a big insurance audit several years ago. The agent was like, well, if your house gets washed away, you live downstream of a big dam. Imagine there's a big failure and it just right off the foundation. All there's left is a concrete slab.
I never thought I would have seen this, by the way, until I saw video footage from Asheville in a house moving down the street.
Yeah, right. Same thing. Didn't mean to make it real, but it happens. Yeah. And she said, well, how much do you think it would cost to rebuild your house? And I said, well, the mortgage is issued. How much does it cost to rebuild your house? I said, well, Zillow says, no. How much does it cost to rebuild your house? Like, there are new builds going on in your neighborhood. What are they going for? And I went, oh, geez, well, that's a bigger number than what I think my house is worth. And she said, well, of course it is, because you have rising lumber costs. By the way, you're going to be competing with everybody else in your neighborhood at the same time for all that lumber. So what do you think that's going to do? You have people that you need to hire to do this, the builders and, all that sort of stuff. And guess what? You're going to be competing with all your neighbors for those technical skilled people too. The reality is that if our house was to be destroyed, it costs way more to rebuild than it does if I'm selling it on Zillow. And so if you look at the dollar amount that your property is insured for, contrast it to what it actually would cost to replace it, I think a lot of people be surprised by that. The downside, of course, is that you increase that number 30, 40, 50%. What do you think is going to happen to your premiums? They're obviously going to go up a commensurate amount. And it kind of flies in the face of everything that's going on with insurance costs of everything is getting more expensive.
Yeah.
Especially in some of these hard hit states like Texas and Florida and the Gulf Coast and now North Carolina. There's going to be a reckoning when it comes to property casualty coverage there. I think across the board, that is the number one thing that I see is it's not insured for the right amount, or it was insured for the right amount, but 15 years ago, and you haven't looked at it since. And replacement versus residual coverage. Those are probably the two biggest things that will surprise people when they go, oh crap, we had this issue. Oh, thank God I've got insurance. Let me fix it. And the insurance company's like, well, it says here your policy's for $500K. You're like, but it costs $1 million to rebuild it. I'm like,
I got to go with what's contractually on the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's $500K.
I was going to say, you had said a couple of months ago on an episode, something I'd never thought of in all the years that I've had insurance was you signed a contract. Like there's no wiggle room on that.
Yeah.
And you just said the word too, Joe, but that's I think an important way for people to think about those types of insurances is it's a contract.
Yeah, it's not like the Allstate guy is like trying to hose you. They're just going to do what it says.
Right.
They're just as obligated to stick to that contract as you are.
And that's the important thing here is I think, OG, what you said, which is that it was right 15 years ago when I actually looked at this. Ever since then, I just send that number to other insurance agents to look at the price to make sure the price is good. I don't look at the deck sheet to see what actually I'm getting. I'm just comparing price. And I think that's a mistake. There's another piece of this, which is related to the insurance policy, but something you need to do on top of that, which I found out the hard way when we had a big insurance claim after our house was broken into. We were very fortunate that our insurance company was very comfortable replacing the stuff that was stolen and working with us. They were wonderful. Their claims department people were great, but I had to know what I owned. And I had to make them a list of what was stolen. And I am 99% sure that we did not get it all, even though I had made videos, because I've been telling people to do this. I'd gone around my house and made videos of the stuff that we own. What was wild? They wanted, for the TVs that they took 2 televisions. They wanted the serial number for the television, the serial number. For 2 reasons. Number one, the police will take that to the pawn shop so they can catch the perpetrator. That's number one. Number two is the serial number then shows them exactly what the model was. And then they can get me a model, because I did have replacement value coverage, today's version of that same model. So getting serial numbers and not just even writing it down or not just taking video, but take video of the things in your house. And then number two, get serial numbers of your computers, your electronics equipment. I was very surprised by that. I did not do that. And it was a pain.
Video is a huge help, especially as you narrate it, right? Like as you're walking around each room going, this is my office. I have a computer and TV and a webcam.
Yes. and saying over and over, and it's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
It's very
This is state of the art. You'll notice my top of the line Rodecaster, my top of the line MacBook, my top of the line Vizio TV from Walmart.
I know you can't tell because it looks like it's red, but that's actually gold plating on my microphone.
Salesperson at Best Buy said it's the best one available.
Yes.
By far. In fact, they said it's so good, they have the same one at their house.
That's right.
I always love it when people, does that happen anymore? Where the person selling you electronics like, I've got one just like it.
I haven't bought electronics in a brick and mortar store in, I can't even remember when. The last thing I bought at Best Buy was a video game, and it was whatever an R-rated video game is, MA. I don't even, is it MA? I don't remember.
Yeah,
but it was a gift for somebody. And the cash register person was like, I just need to see your ID. And I said, for what? And she's like, because you gotta make sure you're over 17. And I was like, are you over 17? She's like, yeah. And I said, do you think I'm older than you? And she goes, oh God, yes. And I was like, so.
Oh God, yes. You're ancient.
If A is B and B is C, I think A equals C, right?
It's because she was worried about you having a heart attack with all that MA content. It might be a little shock to your
I don't
system.
know. She's like, just give me your ID. I'm like, I will not let you pick me up. That's not happening. But okay, fine. No, neither you guys bought that one. All right.
Did he say what I think he said?
I think he did. I got to go wash now.
I'm married, young lady.
Yes, back off, Best Buy employee.
You in that sexy blue shirt.
No, I will not make out with you. I've tried to buy a video game here. This cash register person wants to make out with me.
Yeah. Or just make sure that I'm old enough to buy the video game.
Use your magic segue skill to get us out of this.
Yeah, we got to do something. You know what we'll do? We will link to this in our amazing newsletter, the 201, stackingbenjamins.com/201. Our incredible writer, Kevin Bailey.
High and dry, Kevin Bailey.
Kevin Bailey, who, thank goodness, he and his family are safe. Kevin writes this amazing newsletter, the 201, comes out the day after these topics, and we dive more into them in depth, which is why we call it the 201. 101 here on the show, 201 there. But if you're not here, by the way, to just talk about insurances or to hear Josh Brown talk about robots or why everybody in the world can't have everything that they want, interesting topic around inflation and the pandemic there with Josh today. If you're here because you need a better financial plan, OG and his team are taking clients. So head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG. That's the place to go to get on their calendar to begin making bigger changes in your life than just making a video of your belongings or whatever. Pick a little thing that you might do financially. All right. That is just about it for today. Thanks to everybody who hung out with me last week in Cleveland. I just found out that OG on December 12th, details to come, I will be in New York City, and we're going to be doing a joint meetup with Paula Pant at Afford Anything and Doc G at Earn and Invest. That's going to be on December 12th. We're trying to convince OG to come. Maybe Doug could come.
New York City.
New York City. I bet nobody gets that reference anymore.
I know.
Also, November 7th, I will be in Las Vegas. We're going to do a meetup in Las Vegas. I'll be there doing some interviews with some guests that we'll talk about later, but I will be there. So let's meet up in Vegas. Last time I was in Vegas, it was the end of my book tour. And holy cow, does Vegas smell like pot? Just, you walk down the strip, it just reeks of weed.
Is it worse than Chicago? Have you done Chicago lately?
I have not been to downtown Chicago. Is all just weed.
It is. It's just dank all day, every day.
Yeah. No wonder you always come back from Chicago in like a good, relaxed mood.
So just chill. Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for today. Doug, finish this thing off, man. Lots of takeaways, but what are our top three?
Well, Joe, here's what's stacked up on our to-do list for today. First, take some advice from Josh Brown. Capitalism is a zero-sum game. Get started on your plan today because you're going to have to work hard to make your plan come to life. Second, take some advice from our headline. If you weren't affected by Hurricane Helene, use this as a reminder to buy the right homeowners, renters, disability, and life insurance coverages. And don't forget to give to organizations helping your fellow man. Remember, that could be you struggling out there right now. But the big lesson? I thought we couldn't learn anything from CNBC, but I mean, Josh Brown totally brought it today. So now let me see. I've learned a bunch from Josh, and I learned how to say sell, sell, sell from Kramer. I mean, wow, who saw that coming? Thanks to Josh Brown for joining us today. His new book, You Weren't Supposed to See That, Secrets Every Investor Should Know, is out tomorrow. It's endorsed by not just Joe and OG, but by Morgan Housel and Scott Galloway. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
Doug, you've got some films backed up that you've been wanting to talk about.
Films.
Backed up. Speaking of the beginning of today's show, a little backup, maybe a little fiber. A little fiber.
It's always the obnoxious movie watcher who they think they're all like artistic and they're like, oh, that was an excellent film. Oh, they're just movies, man. They're not films.
I don't know,
Just
but
to make
movie.
it uncomfortable.
I mean, movie.
Well, I have no movies.
Even just the word movie, like a talkie, right? A movie.
Right. Hey, did you say the new movie?
It just moves. I will say films, but I don't think I say it in a snobby kind of way. I'm just like, movie just sounds
Nobody
ancient.
ever does. Nobody ever really thinks they sound like that.
No,
It's snobby.
but they do. Speaking of that, just looking at some of the reviews of Megapolis, by the way, just that film, Francis Ford Coppola, it's a mess.
Oh God, that's the only headline I see is how bad it is.
But I think any of his epic films, you think 20 years from now, people are going to go, no, that film was misunderstood. It was great.
Misunderstood.
No.
Possibly. Like, oh, damn. What was the one that I think Mel Gibson did it in,
Braveheart.
like down in the, no, no. Well, that's the problem. Nobody ever remembers
Lethal
this
Weapon
thing.
1. Lethal Weapon 2. Lethal Weapon 3.
It's down in the jungle.
Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah. Nobody ever talks about Lethal Weapon 4. Anyway.
All the subtext going on in that film.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. You want me to talk about stuff I've watched?
TV shows.
TV shows. That's why. They're not films or movies. I've watched a few TV
television
shows.
programs.
Yeah, television.
Programming.
What programming are you watching on the telly?
So I've watched Old Man and Slow Horses.
Old Man. Hold on. What's Old Man? I don't know.
It's
Old
OG.
Man. Oh, yeah, it is OG.
So says the
it.
guys that are a different decade than me.
Oh, my God. But, okay. Who on this podcast is spiritually the oldest among us with a bullet?
Yeah.
With a bullet. It is the youngest dude on the show. By
the
far
two
is
old
the
guys
oldest one.
in the Muppets, like up in the balcony. OG's the one on the left.
Is that Statler? Statler.
Yeah, you can't spell curmudgeon without OG. See what I did right there? I just made that up on the spot. Damn, I'm good.
TM. Say TM.
Oh, yeah, TM, because that has to go on all of our socials. You can't spell curmudgeon without.
All right, so what's
OG.
old man? What the hell is stop flexing? What's old man? So proud of himself.
I just want to glow in that moment for a second.
15 years, he finally makes something funny, and we got to sit and wallow in it for a few minutes.
Look at what I made, Mom. Look at what I made. I made a funny.
No, old man is, I know it's actually one of OG's favorites, and I love it too. It's Jeff Bridges, former CIA operative in kind of the Afghanistan, kind of that part of the world from way back when. And he tries to get out and he gets pulled back in. And now he's an old man, but he's an old badass, man.
What channel's it on? What's it on?
FX,
which I watch on Hulu.
Okay.
You might be able to get FX in several.
Yeah, the first season was pre-COVID, or no, kind of during COVID because he had lymphoma, and they were like, we're not going to be able to finish the show, and then he finished it after his treatment for lymphoma and COVID and all this other sort of stuff. And he's an old man in the movie in the show. And to Doug's point, he's retired. He lives by himself. His wife has passed away. It starts out, you can't tell if he's talking to himself, if he's actually talking to people.
Don't give it away.
No, I'm just saying, like, he's an old man, and then all of a sudden some crazy stuff happens, and kind of gets, like you said, pulled back into his old life. Who's the other? John Lithgow is the other.
John Lithgow's in
John
it.
Lithgow.
The other.
Wow.
The other.
I'm excited about seeing John Lithgow and Stanley Tucci are in the new movie coming out soon about the Pope.
Right.
The Pope died. That looks very, very good.
There's one or two other, big names that I saw in the promo that I saw for it, in addition to who you just mentioned.
Mel Gibson.
Probably Mel Gibson. Yeah.
Slow Horses on Apple TV. And what's funny is I hadn't even heard of this thing. And then I'm seeing media about it all over the place. And I'm like, how have I missed this? Gary Oldman. And what a great
the first half of the first season. And didn't like it.
What a great setup that it's M5 and it's this office with all these crappy M5 secret agents. You know what's funny? You made it halfway through season 1, OG. I was telling Cheryl about it. She's like, oh yeah, I watched the first 4 episodes and I found it boring. Then I'm talking to Doug. Doug, the first time that you watched it, how many episodes did you make it through?
Almost exactly it was like what OG just said. Made it about that far. And then just like, I can find something else here.
What a great premise, though. I mean, it's a fantastic premise. And with Gary Oldman, how do you mess that up?
Yeah. And Gary, I don't know if they have messed it up. It's just, I think you have to be in the right mood for it. There are like Constant Gardener and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. They're like slow burn spy movies or films. And you got to like that. And there's times when I'm in that mood, but I mean, this is 3 seasons of that. And yeah, Gary Oldman is on his game. He is spectacular in this. But
is there ever a day when Gary Oldman's off his game? Have you ever have a time you're like, oh, Gary Oldman, not that good? Like, I don't think I've ever said those words. Gary Oldman, he was okay.
Right.
He played opposite Mel Gibson in something I didn't like.